Welcome back to Gene and Roger Talk Movies. You don't get to see our ugly mugs this week because we're just back to the regular format here.
But I think we'll maybe go to videos eventually.
You have to do it because we had people out of state last week. You just will do that. I don't know how regular we'll make that, but I'll need to get a haircut before we do it again, I would say.
Yeah, my hair's pretty long.
Yeah.
I don't know.
But today we're talking about a curiosity, I guess would be the way to explain this one. It is a film called The McPherson Tape. Came out in 1989. Well, sort of came out in 1989. The basic premise is it's a found footage film that purports to show aliens and alien invasion. Gene, initial thoughts of The McPherson Tape?
Well, I'm a regular reader of this New York Times paper. And usually I find it to be intelligent, informative, well-researched, well thought out. But, I think even something like that, you can sometimes, they're all grouped together. Sometimes, like New York Times equals the National Enquirer, or because I think on some level, sometimes, you just got to print something, in your movie section, you just got to. You have a writer, and he's just got to put something on the paper. But there was an article called the Scariest Movies of All Time, right? So I was like, oh, my gosh, I got to look at that. And McPherson Tapes came up. And so I'm always kind of searching or wondering about maybe there's a hidden gem out there. There's a movie that was made and that's been forgotten about that is just spectacular. That's off the charts good in the horror genre, or really for anything, really. And, I thought, oh, here it is. This is a trusted news organization. It says McPherson Tapes is listed as one of the scariest movies of all time. I got to check it out. So we talked, Roger had seen it already, but, he was willing to give it a shot. I just have to sigh, is that this is the biggest piece of garbage I've ever seen in my life. It's about as scary as like maybe a 5-day-old, peanut butter and jelly sandwich. There's nothing going on. A bunch of amateurs got together, on one evening, and they just decided, oh, let's make a movie. And so they got some of their friends, and they put on ugly sweaters, and they're just like... Yeah, they shot something. There's no theme. There's no tension. It's just the ridiculousness. It's just, nothing happens in this movie. I don't even know how to describe it.
Right.
There's nothing happening. It's just,
well,
it attempts to have some kind of plot. Yeah, sorry, but it's just, you're watching it and you're just like, how much left is it until it's over?
Well, it's funny because you've actually hit it on the head with what this movie really is. It's a bunch of kids just making a VHS film, right?
Right.
That's really all it is.
All it is.
This movie reminds me of back in the day when I had a big giant, one of those big bulky camcorders, and you had to have the VHS tapes on your side and the giant batteries and all that, and you're just making stupid little movies. That's really what this thing looks like. And they, of course, try to make it like it's this big, released, hidden footage of UFOs that we're releasing because this family out in a cabin having a birthday party for their little daughter run afoul of these aliens, and it's this really intense thing trying to do a Blair Witch Project before the Blair Witch Project came around.
Right.
And it's just nothing happens. I love some of the scenes in there where let's just talk about mom. Hey, ever since dad died, she's been drinking a lot. She's an alcoholic.
Comes out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And then a lot of stuff, it just doesn't make sense. They go outside, they discover this alien ship, and they're all scared. They come back into the house, and they're scared. And then all of a sudden, there's one party that needs to leave, and they're like, oh, bye, we'll see you later. Have a great drive.
I know.
Love you.
Well, and my other favorite part is when... it's all getting intense with the aliens, and the mother, I think, gets up. They're playing cards, and the mother gets up and heads towards the door and is like, "Oh, they're telling me to open the door and all this," and then they freak out and calm mom down, and then they just go back to playing cards, and then another person goes wandering towards the door.
I know, it's like the apocalypse is happening, and they're just playing cards.
Yeah, it's thankfully only 63 minutes long.
Right.
But it could have been 22 minutes long, right? And just get in and get out. The last shot of the film is the only thing worth anything. And even that isn't worth sitting through 62 other minutes of film.
No, finally the aliens have gotten into the house.
Yeah.
But it's just like, what? They're little kids in costumes. You just tell.
Right. And the generic 50s era alien look with the big head and the black eyes and
big
all that.
Slanted eyes, yeah.
But this is great, Gene, because, I'm always talking about these top 10 scariest movies. Like always around October, you start seeing every Tom, Dick, and Harry release their list of top 10 scariest. And when you mentioned McPherson tape, I was like, okay, Gene, sure, we'll do your little McPherson tape, your little New York Times. I know already.
It's just a mess.
It's just you're not going to like it. But I didn't say anything. I just okay, we'll let you play this one out here. But it goes to this deeper thing, right? Because I think both Gene and I have talked about, anytime I see a top 10 list and The Shining is on there, I immediately discount everything else you're going to talk about because it's just, you don't know horror really on any level if you're putting movies like McPherson tape on there.
Right.
There's
no business being called a horror movie.
No, not on any level.
Junior high exposition.
Yeah, it has,
it's got to be
a no budget film, and
zero budget.
And right away, from the minute the film starts, you're like, oh, it's one of these things. Mm-hmm. And of course, give them credit. This was 1989. It is being shot on videotape. It looks like garbage, of course, as you would expect from a film shot on videotape. The acting, of course, is
worse than garbage.
Non-existent. The dialogue is completely stupid.
Right.
There's basically 2 scenes, maybe 3 scenes where, here's the alien or aliens, and that's it. And there's just no reason to watch this movie. But I'll tell another story about this film, because back when it came out, you didn't have massive internet and all this where you could do and streaming and all this. And so this was one of these movies that was like this obscurity that you would try to track down, because you would hear it's super scary and creepy and all this, but you didn't have an avenue to see it. It didn't play in any theaters. There was no VHS release of this, at least for quite a long time after it came out. And so this was one of these movies where you were actively searching, trying to find it. And so you would be at a convention where there's, movie stuff and comic book stuff, and then, some dude's got a 9th generation copy of the McPherson tape. So you give him $5 to buy that thing so you could finally see this film, only to realize that, it's a piece of garbage.
Right.
But now it was interesting because now you want to see these films that you used to have to search for, because sometimes the search was part of the fun. Can I track this movie down? Necromantic was one that I had to do that with for a long time before I could get my hands on it. But then you would finally get your hands on this film and you're like, oh, darn.
Yeah.
The fun part was trying to find it. The terrible part was actually finding it and watching
it. Yeah. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. It's such a letdown because you scariest movies of all time. Here it is. And it's again, like I said, it's like maybe there's a hidden gem out there because you just don't know, because a lot of horror today, as in a lot of movies in general, drama, comedy, whatever, they're just garbage. And you just want the hidden gem. You just think it's out there.
Well, and there are a lot of them out there that, we've even done a few of them that were kind of obscure, and here they are.
Well, the one we did last week, for sure.
Well, yeah, When Evil Lurks. I don't know. I think that one's kind of getting to be a big deal. People are catching on to that one now.
When Evil Lurks is pretty good.
Yeah. It's the thing. But there's other ones that, I keep bringing up Necromantic. Shout out to my friend Rob, who absolutely hated that movie. But that's one that's like, wow, you either are really going to be into it or you're really going to hate it. But it's unique, unlike anything you've ever seen before. I think a lot of the foreign films that were hard to track down, some of those are just really solid.
Yeah, Audition for sure.
Right.
Which we reviewed, yeah.
Actually, that was one that I was on my list trying to track down way back in the day, and did finally, of course. And now it's readily available anywhere.
Yeah, when I renewed my subscription to Shudder, all of a sudden popped up was Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Right.
And so I watched it, and that movie's great. We should review that one.
We'll do that next week. It's a little backstory. Gene was having difficulty typing in McPherson tape, apparently, in his Amazon Prime account. So he had texted me last night going, dude, I can't find it anywhere. Let's do Autopsy of Jane Doe.
Yeah, and then he just spelled it right, and it came right up.
Yeah. And I'm like, geez, do I really want to stay up until 1:30 watching Autopsy of Jane Doe again? But yeah, we can definitely do that one next week for sure. There's really nothing more to talk about with McPherson tape.
No, we've moved on.
There's really nothing.
Don't watch it.
No reason to watch it. And if you do try it, well, if you can make it past 5 minutes, you're pretty awesome, I guess. But I
think the criticism, though, just to maybe get down to maybe a artistic element, is like compare these found footage movies of like this versus like the Blair Witch Project, which is the crowning achievement of found footage movies. And what's the difference there? And I think the difference is it's immediate and it just stands out. Is that with Blair Witch, you have strong characters that you can relate to, and there are characters that you follow as they go on a journey. So, like all good movies have great characters. That movie has great characters, and you can relate to them. That some of them, make poor decisions, and some of them, are overbearing, and some, you can kind of relate to their characters because you can maybe see these elements within yourselves, or oh, I know a guy that's like that, But you don't see any of that in this. McPherson. There are no characters stand out. There's no protagonist.
No.
It just falls flat because there really is nothing there.
No.
So I'd say if you don't have a main character or characters in the movie, there's no movie there. You've got nothing.
Right.
And that's what this movie is I would say it's just nothing.
Well, and there was clearly no script, because I love how that one character just keeps telling everyone to shut up.
Right.
And it's just all over the map. But Gene's exactly right. There's a way to do found footage properly. Blair Witch is a perfect example of that. Paranormal Activity is another one that's a good example.
Right. Again, characters. They're focusing on the characters, the people in the house.
This one was just playing all off of late 80s alien paranoia, and here's this movie purported to show real aliens, and it could have been 22 minutes long and been just a fine little short film.
10 minutes long.
Well, it really could have been even that short. So definitely don't waste your time on McPherson tape.
Yes.
Is the general consensus here. Not that you probably would have been looking for it anyway.
Yeah, you got to search for it, and then you got to spell it right.
Right, you got to spell it right.
Because I think it's MC Pherson, Pherson.
It's Pherson, yeah. I had sent it to you on the text with an A in there.
I tried to put an A like the vowel at Mac, M-A-C.
But you'd figure that...
Whatever. Why are we talking about this?
Well, you'd figure Amazon Prime is smart enough to go, okay, the dude said McPherson tape, even if it's spelled wrong. Come on, here it is.
No, it didn't do it.
No, it was probably trying to save you, actually.
Actually, yeah. So don't go down this road.
But so, Gene, are we agreed that next week we'll do Autopsy of Jane Doe?
Yeah, we can do Autopsy of Jane Doe. Yeah.
Okay.
And I did see the movie X appears on my Prime account.
Oh, is it recommended for you?
So maybe we'll go down that road too.
I would be overjoyed to do that. And the cool thing about
so we'll do that coming up.
The cool thing about doing X would be the third film in that trilogy is coming out soon.
Yeah, it was X, Pearl, and then
Maxine. Yeah, so
seeing their characters right there, Pearl, Maxine. So you're looking at Pearl. I guess we'll probably be looking at Maxine, right?
So, well, in X, it's Maxine and Pearl in that one, and then Maxine will just be in her own movie.
Okay, well,
so
there you go.
We'll see what happens, because Ty West did a great job with X, which Gene has not seen yet, but Gene certainly loved Pearl, as did I. And so I'm definitely looking forward to where he's going to go with this third movie.
Yeah,
but
there you go.
We're way off topic now, and that's the deal with McPherson tape. You're going to be talking about something else if you even make it through the whole thing.
Right.
So we will catch you next week with a much better film.
Much better.
Autopsy of Jane Doe. Thanks for tuning in. Did we make the shortest episode ever? No, we didn't. That still is Five Nights at Freddy's.
Which is still in the box office and which is producing very well.
Yeah, made.
Yeah, my kid, I think he saw it 3 times.
Oh my God.
15-year-old.
Yeah, that's about the audience for it.
Yep.
Anyway, we will catch you next week. Bye-bye.
Bye.